3, 2, 1, let's jam. Okay, greetings. Welcome back to Austin Action Fest and Friends, or Austin Action Heroes and Friends. I always mess it up, and it's my show. But it's Danielle's fault because she titled it, not me. We have a very special guest with us today. George, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, hi, George Siegal here. I'm a documentary filmmaker and former TV news personality, weatherman, show host, video production for years, but now I make documentary films, and I can honestly say this is the first time I've been on with royalty on any kind of broadcast. So it's a real honor.
Copy that. We're glad to have you. Now, I met George through an acquaintance of mine online. I believe it had to do with a submission to our film festival, and one of our submitters said, "Hey, this guy's great. You should have him on your show." He was really hustling. Shout out there to Saeed, and I want to let everybody know, if you can get somebody like Saeed to help you hustle yourself and get you on programs, get you on podcasts, that is the way to do it, because this man did a fantastic job, and now we got the chance to sit here with George and talk a little about filmmaking, his transition into video production and film from the world of weather reporting or weather casting.
Yeah, both. I was also a morning show host. I did a lot of things. All of which kind of carry over when you go into production in filmmaking. Because when I started out, I had to shoot stuff, edit stuff, write stuff. You had to do everything. So you kind of learn every role in the crew.
Awesome. So just tell us a little bit about how you got just started in your original careers and then how that transitioned into what you're doing now.
Well, when I was at UCLA in Los Angeles, I was looking for what I wanted to do after school, and the first job I got was in television news, and I kind of just went on from there. When you're in that business, it's hard to get out of that business because as you work your way up, you eventually start making decent money, but there's a lot of BS involved with it. Anybody that ever watches the news knows it's not what it used to be. It's very agenda driven, and I didn't like a lot of the politics with it, and I wanted to get out on my own and try to see what I could do by myself and create my own projects. And that's what I'm doing now. So I really enjoyed doing that then, but I like this a lot better.
Awesome. Okay. So of the different things that you did, which one would you say gave you skills that you use most frequently now? Like what crossed over the most of what you're currently doing? Well,
I would say as a reporter, or when you would do special reports, because you would go out and you would have to do the interviews. You would have to look at the interviews afterwards, pick out the best stuff. You would have to get the B-roll, determine what the style of the story was going to be. And you had to do all that because in smaller markets, there's nobody to do it for you. As you go up in bigger markets, you end up getting an editor, which now as a filmmaker, I work with great editors. I mean, an editor can take a project that's good and make it great. But when you're young and starting out, it's kind of all on you. As you grow and advance in the field, you get to work with more people. And that's when you really can soar, because if you have somebody that can take your idea and make it better, that's huge.
That is the entire game. It's interesting because, as independent filmmakers, that is what it takes. Like I was actually at a mixer last night and someone asked me, "What all do you do?" And that's always a funny, question because realistically, everything, right? I'll say I'm a producer and I run a film festival, but realistically, I do everything. I'll write, I shoot, I edit, I'll act if I have to, I'll do the stunts in the movie. Like it's whatever it takes to get it. I'll PA. It's whatever it takes to get it done. So I think that being scrappy and being willing to do whatever it takes is kind of like one of the key things to being an independent filmmaker. What's some other skill sets or mindsets that you think are really important to be able to make it or be able to be successful in the world of independent film?
Well, I think the first thing is being open to learn. So, I've been in situations where we've hired somebody who's young and wants to come out and work. And you can tell somebody who wants to be there versus somebody that's there just because they need the money to be there. And that's a huge thing. If you're the low man on the crew, you have to let people know you're there to support them. You're not the director. You're not the writer. They don't want your ideas unless they specifically ask you for it. You're there to support and to learn. And as the person who's now the director, hey, if I have to help set up lights, if I have to help do things, I'm a believer in you do what you need to do to get the job done. One of the advantages when you're younger and starting out, if you can pair yourself with people that have different skill sets, you can fall into some really talented up and coming people. So if you're the director or the DP, you may have a buddy who's an editor. You may have another person who's good at raising money. You may have another person who's good at setting things up. You want to try to have different skill sets. If everybody wants to be the director, if everybody wants to be the point guard on a basketball team, that doesn't get it done. Somebody's got to do, in football, somebody's got to block. Somebody's got to do the dirty work to get it done. But when you can get all the right pieces in place, and on my last film, I really had this. I was working with a new crew, but these guys were super talented. They all did their job. They hustled. They had creative ideas. They would take a suggestion and run with it. If they didn't think something was a good idea, they tactfully would explain why they didn't think that could happen. I mean, it was just a really professional environment.
That's key. So that's tactfully explain why it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked for some real assholes that would yell at you and dress you down for what they thought was stupidity. And I try to never embarrass somebody. If you're working on my crew and I think you're doing something wrong, I'll go over and quietly say to you, hey, Lord Reddick, maybe we can try it this way. Maybe we can do this. But I'm not going to call you out in front of everybody and embarrass you because you're a grown person. You have a right to be treated with respect. And I think when you treat people that way, you get better work out of them. I
absolutely agree with that. I've only been on maybe one or two sets where somebody was being a diva or a tyrant. Luckily, I was basically never on the other end of that. Maybe one or two in all the projects I worked on. And a lot of that might have to do with in Texas, everybody knows everybody. So it is very easy to get a really bad reputation here and people not want to work with you. And you kind of need that help here. We don't have as deep or as wide of a pool of, producers, stuntmen, whatever. So you can ruin your reputation very quickly. And I have seen people get run out of town basically because they burn a couple too many bridges.
Yeah, and it's hard to get that back. I mean, you can spend your life, especially in today's world, you can be great for 99 times and the 100th time you do something stupid and that's all people remember. So
it's got the phone out. It's a remix. It's on TikTok now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quick. It's easy to go viral.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the last project that you just worked on. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I live in Florida, and a film I made previously was called The Last House Standing. And there was a house in Mexico Beach, Florida, that when everything else was wiped out by Hurricane Michael, that house was standing. So I themed a film around it. It was called The Last House Standing. But then I teamed up with a guy to make a different version of that called Built to Last, Buyer Beware. And we shot it in Florida. But it really applies to everywhere, especially a place like Texas, where it's the Wild West in building. You have no idea what you're living in, what the risks are, where you're living, and people just blindly go and make these choices, and you can lose everything. And what our film shows is, you think you have a house and your insurance is going to help you when you get in trouble? Not so fast. Insurance's goal, in many instances, is not to pay you. You think your builder is going to build you a house that's going to last a major storm? No, they're building it, most cases, to the minimum code. You're moving into an apartment complex and you think you're going to be safe because it's a big, huge complex. They built that out of wood on the water in a hurricane zone. So what I learned is most people are stupid that we rely on. And if we don't ask questions and do our work to know what we're getting and what our risks are, we're the ones that are going to get screwed, and we have nobody to blame and nobody to help us. So you have to become your own best advocate. And that's what I hope this film drives home. And that's what I love about documentaries is, I mean, there's art films, there's beautiful films out there. I admire anybody that can complete a film and make it. I may not like some of them, but I respect you for doing it. I try to make films that I think can make a difference. And I think this one can.
Interesting. So there's a couple of things in what you said that I find to be great parallels. So one, we were literally just looking at buying a house, and we live in J.E.L, Texas. I don't know if you know anything about J.E.L, but okay. So we're where when you say I live in J.E.L. Like, oh, where the tornado wiped the whole town out. Like
Tornado's
20,
the
30
first
years
thing
ago.
that came to mind when you said that.
Right. So literally, when we were looking at home builders, see, I was a person that was like, let's talk about how much water is in the area, what wells are we pulling from, what are the codes in these buildings? These look flimsy. What is this rated for? And actually, I won't say any names, but I asked the builder, I was like, what level tornado is this house rated for? And one of the guys that was a salesman, he didn't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we live in J.E.L. I want to know, because I've seen people, I think it was in Florida, where this guy had a house and he had taken all these extra precautions. So it was like cabled into the concrete slab. It was a bunch of additional, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could add additional features to your home to make it more tornado resistant. And so when I was having this conversation, because I live here, I wanted to know that. They had no idea. So it's funny you say all that, because I've been in this situation you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And number two, what you said about buyer beware and you have nobody to blame but yourself when making stupid decisions. I feel like that parallels a lot of things in film that we see as well. So, I'm on the producer side most of the time now, but I'm also on the actor side as well. And I see a lot of people talking about contracts and things like that. And every time anyone complains about being mistreated in music or film, my first question is, what does your contract say? Not to say that it was a good contract, right? But just like insurance's job, or their mission is to not pay you as much money as possible. In music, in film, quite often the people you're working with, they're not your friends. And their plan is to pay you as little as humanly possible. I don't like that model, but that's where a lot of people are operating from.
And then the fear in what you're talking about is if you're on a film and they're not treating you right and you speak up, you're afraid of getting fired or standing out or looking like a diva. Like you're the one that's wrong for pointing out how they're not honoring your deal. And that's the same in any contract. And so it's tougher probably to stand your ground in a film than it is with a house. You can walk away from a house. You don't have to buy it. Don't reward their mediocrity. And if they're not answering questions that are very simple questions right off the top, I wouldn't buy from them. And you could name the builders. I could tell you the ones that suck, that just really have a bad reputation because they're counting nickels. What they want to do is make money. They're all about profit and how they can make the most money. Well, that's not conducive to the deal you want. You want the best. You want to know that they care. And there's so many elements in buying a house where they're not caring can affect you and the value of what you buy. And then you're screwed.
Absolutely. I will say one of the good things about, some people say you don't need a real estate agent. They're not into that. They want to do it themselves. And that's cool. But I will say that my real estate agent, Stacy, she did a really good job asking specific questions like the ones we're talking about. There was a fire hydrant in front of the building, and the question was, okay, so since we were looking at a house in a corner, like how does drainage work? How much of that pours into our yard? Like how do these things affect one another? And most of us, if you're a first or second time home buyer, you're not thinking thoroughly through all of these things. And so if you are experienced, you've had a couple of homes, sure, you might be savvy enough to know some of the questions to ask. But for us, our real estate agent was very, very helpful in that. Again, parallels when it comes to, films and really anything. If you can get some kind of guidance or mentorship, somebody who's been there and done that, probably a good idea to try to tap into that when you can.
It's great that you had a good experience, but I would say I wouldn't want to rely on that because at the end, the realtor wants to make money. They want a sale. Maybe they care about repeat business. There's a lot of great realtors out there, so I don't want to slam them as an industry, but they don't have the same interests that you do. You're the one that's going to be living there. I mean, the lady that sold us the house we're living in now didn't tell us our builder was an asshole. She didn't tell us that there was a major construction project where they were going to tear up the street and disrupt our lives for a year and cut down all the trees on the street. Now, I could hate her for that, or I could say, well, I could have found that information out. Why am I relying on her? She did her job. She found us a house. Did she do anything more than that? No. but maybe that's not her job. So if you get somebody that does more, it's a bonus for you. But my goal is to teach people, ask the questions yourself. Don't rely on that person. Don't rely on them saying, this house has never flooded before. Go there on a rainy day. Go there after 2 rainy days. See where the water's running off. Call the local floodplain manager. Every community has a floodplain manager that will tell you about flooding in that area. Look at FEMA maps. Talk to insurance companies. Find out the history of a house, like a Carfax. There's so many things you can do, but we're all too lazy. We just go, oh, it's pretty. Look, granite countertops near a park. Timmy can play in the backyard. There's a swing.
So I'm noticing a theme here, which is be proactive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which I 100% agree with that in so many ways, more than one. I always tell people, like, you are your own first responder.
Yeah.
If anything goes bad in this house, I am the one who is responsible. Before cops or anybody can get here, it's on me.
Yeah.
If it flooded, it's on me. If freaking rabid dog comes in the front door, I'm the one who has to fix it before any other outside forces can come in and assist. And I kind of like that in reference to film as well. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Duplass. I think Mark Duplass did it. And he said the cavalry's not coming. He had an entire speech at South by Southwest. And he said, I did this. I thought the cavalry's coming. I made this movie. I did this. Thought the cavalry's coming. And his point was, I kept doing all these things and having all these successes. But at the end of the day, Hollywood never came to save me and rescue me and just hand me the deals. I still had to go out and hustle and make things happen and put things together. And so one of the things I really like about that is that it's a different mindset. It's a different mindset from looking at film as a career, right? When we're talking about Saeed and you're talking about having a publicist or someone who's a booker for you, I learned when I had my agent for acting very quickly, and my agent was nice and they were helpful and they got me a couple of gigs. God bless them. I booked way more work myself. Yeah. We were a team working together, because if I sat back and waited to just eat off the work that they put in, I'd have been starving right now.
Yeah. So I think of agents as like a waiter or an order taker behind a counter. And if they ask for you, they're going to tell you that's the best thing they serve. But if they ask for the person next to you, that's the best thing they serve. Their goal is to get money to the agency. And unless you're hot, they're not out pitching you. I think that's total BS. Most agents that I've worked with, once their client is in the doghouse with that company, they go to the next person. They don't salvage that in most cases. I mean, I'm sure there's some super agents that can salvage anything if they want to. I'm just talking about for the average person out there. Nobody's going to represent you like you are. And you talk about the cavalry coming. I've pitched the most obvious things to the most obvious right person, and they look at me like, I'm not interested. So there's no formula of success. It's just you have to keep trying. Now, I may sound like I hope I don't sound angry, because I'm certainly not. I'm just not. I don't trust people at all. But at the same time, I'm very optimistic that I'm going to do the best job for myself. I believe in what I'm doing, and I can sell it. But
that's awesome.
My message is don't rely on others.
I don't want to sound negative, but I don't trust people at all.
I don't trust anybody.
Actually, one of my favorite books is hilarious. One of my favorite books is a book we wrote called Reasons to Trust the Government. And not to get political, but the concept is the government is made up of human beings who are typically self-interested. And even if it's not malevolent, they're normally looking out for themselves, and they're not necessarily always looking out for you. So how can you implicitly trust them? And so it's not really about the government. It's really a statement about people. And I say it in the most aggressive way possible, because I just think that stuff is funny. So I say people are trash and the government can never be trusted. And I don't really mean it that way, but I mean, like, at any point in time, someone can screw you over, and it may be because their kid's sick. They may have had an argument that morning with their spouse, just in a sour mood. And when they come into contact with you, they don't care about you. And so if you move and you do things with the idea that could be happening at any point in time, but like you said, with a level of optimism, right? I think that's a good, healthy skepticism. And if you go into business and life, understanding, the range of risk here, I think that you can move in a better, safer, more fulfilling way. I think you would agree with that.
I would. But I'll tell you, the thing that sums up what I think about government, our senators and our congressmen and all those people, they get into those offices to be public servants and they leave wealthy. They're making very little salary, but they leave rich. Why is that? Because the people throw stuff at them left and right. They get insider trading. They know all the deals before we'll ever hear about them. Martha Stewart goes to jail. Nancy Pelosi can buy a new villa somewhere. It's like the whole game is stacked where those people get corrupted by the job. So nothing's going to change because why are they going to give that up? You get in there, people throw stuff at you left and right. They all get wealthy. What does that tell you? How do you trust those people? How do you know they're doing what's in your best interest? They're doing what's in their best interest. And we saw that in making my film. All the legislators up in Florida, the Senate, they took away a provision where if I have to sue my insurance company because they're not paying me, I used to be able to get attorney's fees if I won. They eliminated that. Why would you eliminate that?
What is the logic there?
Well, the insurance industry paid them a boatload of money to change that law, and they pressured them to change it. So now, if I want to sue my insurance company for $100,000 and I have to give my lawyer $35,000, I can't fix my house. And insurance companies screw people all the time. So it's one of those things where you'll see it. If you look at anything that's decided by the Senate or Congress, look at that. There's now an app where you can follow their stock trades and see what they're doing because they know
I've heard about
stuff.
that.
Yeah,
I heard that if you like track, like I think they said Nancy Pelosi beats the market.
Yeah,
like all the time, and it's bipartisan. It's a bipartisan issue.
Sure it is. They all suck.
Which I've always been curious, like why are they? You know what? We're gonna have you on a different show. My wife does a political one. We're gonna get you over there to have that conversation. We're gonna redirect.
It drives me crazy, but it's a lesson that can carry over into anything. So let's bring this back to filmmakers. You still want to be your own best advocate. So there's a lesson. There's a takeaway here. If somebody says no to you, maybe they're not the right person to have asked, and you go to find somebody else. Don't take no. If you believe in something, put your head down and get it done. And so that's the positivity of this. The negativity stuff, all that stuff is obvious. But how much you want it is really up to you.
It's one of the things I really, and you may have a different take on this, one of the things I really disliked about the strikes that were going on, actors and everybody having these problems, it annoyed me to hear all those things happening because in my mind I'm going, you thought that these people had your best interest at heart with these contracts. There's no way you could have believed that. We all know Hollywood accounting and all the different things. So like everybody knows how business is done. And like you said before, these people are rich and they are powerful. They have no reason to change this system. It does not benefit them to change the way that they're doing it, right? Until it hits their pocketbooks, they're not going to change it. And so you're looking at people who are complaining about these contracts and these deals, but the way that they were talking about it was like, I have to deal with this. And something about that just felt disempowering. And I didn't like that. I felt like I think everybody on some level should be some kind of an independent filmmaker. Because if Hollywood won't let you do things the way you want to do it, or they don't believe in the thing that you believe in, why would you not just go out and make it yourself? So it doesn't compute to me to beg for permission to create. Like I'll just do a smaller movie if it takes all that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the challenge though is raising the money. It's having somebody behind you. I've never had a studio behind me where I've gotten them to say, "Oh, well, we'll distribute your film," or if you want to hire voice talent for a film like I'm making right now, I have to go through hoops with SAG-AFTRA, and they make it very challenging for you to work with somebody in the union. And if you're a non-union company, I couldn't afford to do a film like mine if I had to pay union wages. Now, here's the other argument. Well, the union really does help the person who's the lowest paid on the crew because they would get nothing. They would be told it's sunshine pay. You're doing it for experience. But you can't do that as a small filmmaker. You could not be union. You could not pay the pension contribution and fill out all that paperwork and do all that stuff. So when it comes time to needing those things, you have to jump through a lot of hoops to do it. And it's very frustrating. So, you know, would it be great to have a studio behind you? Yeah, but they can also kill your deal. I agree. If you want to be creative, go out and make your film. The challenge is getting it seen. That is the big thing. Are you going to throw it up on YouTube? I hate YouTube for the fact that you put a film on there. Do you know how many streams you have to get of your film for you to get a nickel?
I'm sorry, I'm clipping that, definitely. I hate YouTube. We're going to lead with that on one of the clips. Yes,
they're great. It's a great medium. Okay, let's clarify that. YouTube is great for having a free way to put video out there, but if you want to make money from it,
that's not their model.
Good luck.
Again, that's not their priority. Let's say it that way. That's the nice way to say it. It's not the priority.
But if you make a film and you want to try to make some money back, where are you putting that film where you actually have a chance to? It can't be YouTube. There are other
people talking about Tubi now. People are saying they're doing some decent transactions on Tubi now.
I have a film on there right now, and every now and then I get a $50 check in the mail or $75 check. The problem with that is it's a great way to get your film out there. My film is available to anybody that wants to watch it for free. But I don't think the revenue model is stacked in a way that helps the little guy. You know, we get pennies on the dollar. And
so it's still a last resort position.
Well, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't use last resort. I would say it's an option to get your work out there, but hopefully you had funding where they're not breathing down your back to get their money back. You know, maybe you did a Kickstarter, maybe you are a nonprofit and you got donations. But if you have investors and you have a business plan, you're never paying them back off of Tubi if you're a small film. I mean, they may pay the big hits more. I don't know.
Do you market and drive anything to your Tubi video, or do you kind of just let the algorithm do what it does?
Anytime I talk about The Last House Standing, I tell people they can watch it for free on Tubi. If they go to my website, they have to pay $3.99 to watch it. But I don't care. I think it's an important film that I really, that $3.99 is not going to put my kids through college. So I tell people, go to Tubi and watch the film, knowing I'm not going to get anything back, but I want them to see it. My film was on public television. They don't pay anything.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, but that's cool. Like you're spreading the word. It's getting out there, which is an important word that you're spreading. I'm always going to be an advocate for self-reliance and ownership. Because at the end of the day, no matter what happens, the only one you can really rely on is yourself. You can trust people. You're supposed to work as a team. I'm very cooperative. Obviously, filmmaking, there is no way to just do all this realistically at a decent level all on your own. But I've even learned in my film career, it is very useful to be a multi-hyphenate and be able to do a couple of different things, because it allows people to not, or it prevents people from being able to hold a process hostage. Like I can shoot and edit. So if something weird happened, or the director got strange, or Gripper Gaffer went crazy, I mean, we're going to keep rolling. And I think that that's really cool. And I like the fact that your film actually advocates for that. Go ahead.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And the thing too is, like, I can do all those parts too, but when you can have a crew where you have people that's what they're doing, it can make it so much better. I can't shoot like these guys could shoot. I can't edit like they can edit. I can't fly a drone like they fly a drone. And they also bring creative thoughts to the process that I might not have thought about. And, to me, when you can have a good team to work with, when you watch a film and there's 10 minutes of credits at the end, those people, they had a lot of people working on it. You watch mine, it's maybe 30 seconds of credits, 45 if you run them slowly. But it's less people working on it, which means you're doing more work. But it's really rewarding when the film is done, because you look back and you go, hey, that's really cool. I can't believe I did that.
Was it like you have a couple that are like Crafty, George, casting, George?
Yeah, you see my name a lot in the credits. Who is this guy? You get to know me by the end of the credits, because you'll see my name a lot.
You're going to make up some fake names. That's what you got to do.
You do.
I've done that at least once. I was like, you know what? My name's showed up too many times in this credit. I'm just going to come up with some aliases. It'll be cool.
Anybody that says hi to you, give them a credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said something earlier. You were talking about crowdfunding. Tell me, have you had any what kind of experiences you had with that? Have you really gone that route, or have
Yeah,
you kind
I don't
of
like it. I mean, when I made my last film, or 2 films ago,
Why is almost every? I'm sorry.
well,
Almost every time we say, "Hey, blah blah blah,"
well,
I don't like it.
because let me tell you why. I have to qualify that. It's tough to ask people for money. It's tough to say, "Can you give me $5? Can you give me $10?" And I did a crowdfunding campaign for a film I made called License to Parent. And I set the bar at $50,000. I only raised 40. You don't get a penny. So I switched it to a different platform. And a lot of people I went back to said, I already gave to your film already on that other platform. They don't know that they were never charged or go look at it. And what I found personally, I'm not a good fundraiser. I'm not good at asking, because to me, if I ask you for money for a film and you say no, I'm not going to sit there and twist your arm and try to talk you into it. I respect the fact that you said no. Crowdfunding takes a lot of time. So if that's your goal, is to crowdfund your film, you have to commit to it, and you have to really make a big deal out of it. And those are the people that are most successful. They throw parties for it. They tell all their friends. I think it works better when you're a younger person or a celebrity. When you're young, people go, oh, it's cool. Let's give little Billy money for his film. When you're my age, people go, what's that old guy trying to hustle money out of us for? You know, you're just not thought of the same way. So I don't like doing it, but I know it's a valuable way for a lot of people to raise money, and it can be a great way to do it. But it only works if you're committed to it. If you half-ass it, if you don't care, they're not going to care.
Yeah. One of the things I've seen, because we've done a couple of raises, the first couple weren't super successful, was when we were newer to film. As we've done more work and we've done more favors and helped people out, and I've given to crowd funds, our last crowdfund, we hit our numbers. We wanted like $4,000 to match investor donation or investment. And we hit our $4,000 mark in maybe, I think it was like a week of the 30 days, pretty quickly.
That's awesome.
Or 2,500. And so the cool thing was, though, is that I realized a lot of people I had a lot of friends who I hadn't asked for anything, and they knew how hard we were working, and they just wanted to be involved and just wanted something to be successful. But that was a lot of pre-work that was done by me putting the energy out there and then, reaping and sowing. So there is definitely a strategy to it, and I really did take it seriously. We had testimonials, we had actors' videos. I shoot and edit, so it wasn't that difficult to get that kind of stuff. But if you don't have my skill set, I could see how it would be an overwhelming task for somebody. The one thing I will tell people which I've learned watching and talking to people who have contributed to crowdfunds, it is a great tool for marketing. If you're trying to, if you're talking about doing Tubi and things like that, there are not a lot of other opportunities you're going to have to celebrate what you're doing and help with an awareness campaign. I use crowdfunding, and a lot of people use crowdfunding partially for that. Even if they didn't need the money, there are people who will crowdfund because it's like a thing that you can get people jazzed to do and get around. And then that helps you with views and followers and likes and the Facebook page. But if there is a strategy to it, and it's not just, let me just jump on the internet and throw up, hey, I'm doing XYZ, that has never really worked for many people. So
yeah,
we're hearing both sides. And I do have a kind of a feeling about famous people who crowdfund. And I know that's kind of messed up. It's me being a jaded, poor little indie filmmaker. You have money, you're rich, stop it. But there's people who really want to get involved. Was it Kylie Jenner, where she did a crowdfund to make her a billionaire or something stupid like that?
Well, there's people, if you have the reach, and a celebrity can do a crowdfund, and because they have such a big audience, it's a numbers game. And if you like that celebrity and you follow them, you might want to do it just to say you were part of it. When I do that, little old me, nobody knows who I am. So it makes it more challenging. So I have to show people why that's a good thing. But you really have to commit to it. And it takes just as much time. It takes away from making the project because it's such an effort to try to fund the project. The upside of that is you don't have to pay anybody back. If you have a business plan and you have investors, then you have a different bar to reach when you're making your
Exactly.
film, and that's challenging
Pre-sales.
too.
I look at it as like it's if you do it professionally, and I've seen a couple of companies do this really well. There's a company, Mythica, I think Aerostorm Entertainment out of Utah. I think on their crowdfunding, they were raising like 50 to 100 grand per movie. Now, I don't know what kind of back end they had because they're independent. So a lot of those numbers are, unfortunately, we don't have the data, which is annoying sometimes. But they're making fantasy movies, and those budgets shouldn't have been more than, I would say, 200 to 300,000. They made 7 movies, and every movie had a fundraise. And every fundraise, they got tens of thousands of dollars of the fans basically pre-buying and paying for them to make the movie that they want to see. And I was like, there's something there. There's something there. It's not for everybody. And if you can get access to investor funds, and you have those kind of relationships, you have like legitimate producers on your team that could just make it happen, you may not want to waste the energy and time doing it. But if you are going to do it, there are ways to do it. And I do think there's a level of value in it, especially if you're like independent filmmaker doing it on your own dime. So
yeah, but when you're putting together your team as a small independent filmmaker, if you have a nucleus of 3-4 people you want to work with, try to have a marketing person as one of those people. Have somebody who doesn't have the same skill set as you and maybe a few other people on the team, because that could be their job. That could be their focus. Yep. If you're the director trying to be the fundraiser, trying to be the producer, trying to be the DP, it's a lot tougher to get stuff done. And that's how things slip through the cracks. So the more help you can get, the better.
I think the older of a filmmaker I've seen people become, the more experienced, the less they're willing to one-man army it.
Yeah.
Like everybody I know is like, oh, I'm going to do this first feature. I'm going to do all this stuff on my own. And just progressively over time, they're like, you know what? That was cool. Never doing that again.
Well, it's true because it's hard. I mean, on the last film I was on, we were missing one role that I had on my previous film. And that was somebody who was a true PA that would go around and, make sure the releases were signed. They would be the food runner. They would do all the bottom level stuff. So then that kind of just falls to everybody. It's like any role you can fill, you're better off. And the more eyes you have and the more people you can get involved, the better. The problem is if you're very low funded, it's hard to ask people to commit to your film and not make anything. It's hard to ask people to work for free. I'm not at a stage in my life where I can ask anybody to do anything for free. So I like to let people that are on my crew know whatever deal we make, you're going to get paid fairly. I'm not going to work you more than the hours we said. If we do, we'll compensate you fairly. You want to have a relationship where it's clear what you're doing and how you're going to do it. But the less I have to do, I used to own my own equipment. I don't do that anymore because it keeps changing. You buy a 4K camera, then it's 8K, then it's 12K.
Oh my goodness. The gear creep.
Yeah.
Look, that's why we actually went from, to give you an example, we went from Canon T3Is with a magic lantern hack, because that's the first thing I saw somebody using, and it was cheap and I could afford it. So we had 3 of those, and we had the nifty 50s, right? So we went from those to the Sigmas, Sigma lenses, the 1835 art lens. Everybody uses that, right? And then we went to Blackmagic 2K, the old brick Blackmagic when they first came out, Blackmagic BMCC. And then everybody was like, oh, you need to get these 4K, you need to do this, you need to do that. And the only thing that made me change or upgrade my cameras was, I was like, I know if I upgrade from 1080, and this is for some independent filmmaker, this is very important. What people don't tell you is that if you have a system that can edit 1080 footage and you put it in the Final Cut, you have 3 streams of 1080 that you're chopping up. Your computer, depending on its power, will act very differently when that footage is 4K. And no one talks about that, or the storage it takes.
The storage,
to house.
That'll kill you.
No one talks about any of this stuff. You just gotta have the case, man, the case. And so we waited until the action we were doing required like 120, sometimes 240, because we were getting like gunshots and stuff. We needed real slow motion, and the Canons just couldn't do it at the time. They had the mirrored lenses. You needed the mirrorless. So I'm looking at the Sony A7S II, because that could do tremendous low light, running, gunning, right? And it had slow motion. we landed on the Lumix GH5s. So they're 4K. They can do a bunch of cool stuff. They can run all day. It's great. You know, I love this little camera. Now people are like, get the RE Mini, get the this. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm cool. I could shoot something with this if I need to. If I need anything more than this GH5, we're just going to rent it, or we're going to hire somebody that has the Red or whatever the new thing is in 6 months.
Share grid.
Because there's going to be another one in another 6 months.
Yeah.
And
Share grid is a great way to do it. And or what I did on my last film is I found a production company that had all the stuff. And where I got in trouble, and where you're talking about storage, I had a Drobo hard drive, 40 terabyte, but Drobo went out of business. So Drobo stopped talking to Adobe Premiere as Adobe kept, doing their upgrades. Eventually my computer was crashing every night because Drobo wasn't upgrading with it. So I had to switch over to OWC, which means you have to back everything up and transfer everything. So storage, with the better the picture, the bigger the files, the more storage you need.
Absolutely. So George, we're not going to keep you. Is there anything that we missed? We covered crooked politicians, insurance claims, weathercasting, filmmaking. Is there anything else you want to talk to the audience about before we get out of here?
No, I would encourage people, if you're interested in seeing what I do on a regular basis, I have a podcast called Homeowners Be Aware, and it kind of ties into the theme of my film. So if you go to homeownersbeaware.com, you can catch my podcast, where every week we try to educate you about being a homeowner. We teach you everything you need to know about being a homeowner. So from there, I theme out into the film that I'm making right now, which is Built to Last, Buyer Beware. And you can go to builttolastmovie.com. Built to Last, and it's TO, not the number 2. I hope you put the links up. But people can go check that out. But I would love for them to check out my podcast. And I want people to come away with the attitude of, there's a lot of frustrations in trying to be a filmmaker, but don't let that stop you. If you want to do it, man, just do it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't, and enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot worse things you could be doing for a living. This is a great way to try to make a difference.
That is awesome. And I really appreciate a lot of the practical advice you gave. Here we say, if we can't do business, there is no show. So if you're not going to be the business person, if that's not your stick, if you're, pure artist, that's great. It's awesome. Just get somebody on your team who is interested in contracts and releases and all those other things. Yeah. That's all we try to advise people to do, because one of the things that is very sad, and the reason we kind of started doing what we're doing here, is that I kept seeing people leaving Austin, Texas, because they couldn't make a living doing film. And they were really good, talented filmmakers, but there wasn't enough work. There wasn't enough for them to do to actually feed their family. So they had weekend warriors. They couldn't commit to everything. And so we do this, and we bring you people like George to talk about their experiences, even when it's not purely action related, because it's film related, because there's some nuggets in here that will cross over. That's the goal. That's the hope from all this. Pull what you can. And a lot of the things we're talking about, and this is a freebie. I learned from a mentor when I was very young. He was like, if it applies to your love life, it'll apply to your relationships, and it applies to business, and vice versa. So a lot of the techniques and things that George is telling you about here apply to other areas of your life. Insurance, but also filmmaking, also probably the new startup you want to do, possibly relating to your children. Do you trust everybody? No. You probably want the nanny cam. See? Crossover, right? So we're just trying to make sure that people have an opportunity to actually do what they're passionate about instead of what they have to do to survive. We want you to make purpose decisions, not pandemic decisions.
Yep.
You probably know what we're talking about when I say that, and I'm not going to say anything more because YouTube will probably ban my video. So,
well, thank you for having me on.
Thank you, George. We'll definitely chat a little more, and we'll catch up later. And it was a pleasure. Learned a lot. We're actually looking at potentially doing a documentary here in the future. So we might have you back to answer some more specific questions.
I would love to.
And actually, if there was any advice you could give to someone who's going to be a documentarian, like what is the the most important thing you could probably nugget or tidbit of information that they should know.
Don't write your story before you go out and shoot it. You can have an idea what you want to get, but don't pre-tell it. Don't try to fill a form out and go out and get what you believe. Let the story tell itself. And along the way, get releases from everybody you talk to on camera before you interview them. It's a lot easier to get it before you interview them than 3 months later when you try to find them and nobody will air your film because you don't have releases for everybody. So, but don't pre-tell your story. You can tell with documentaries that they had a narrative they wanted to drive and then they went out and made the film. I don't like to do that. If the insurance company looks bad in my film, it's because they're bad, not because George thinks they're bad.
Hey, man, I love it, George. And with that, we're going to head out. Austin action heroes and friends, till next time.